home till 9:30 on Wednesday night. You know, we don't have a service that long, but about 9:30, because the time me and Stoney get all the devil boogers and all that cast out, and we walk around this place. In case you hadn't noticed it too, I was going to tell you, every light we own now is burning. So every light, thanks to Stoney, he's replaced bulbs and put up new lights, and we're going to get this place booger-proof. And next thing we're going to do is, Stoney's got connections because he's an electrician. It's good to have an electrician in church, now I'm telling you. Old Ronnie did lots of things for lots of years, and I appreciate what Ronnie done and all that, because I'm going to tell you what, he saved the church a lot of money. But Stoney is now, and he knows electricians, and he knows Sweatco people, and we're going to get another bulb in that light out there that's yellow, and we're going to make it brighter out here, so y'all ladies don't have to walk to the vehicles in the dark. I don't like that. Probably going to top some of these trees around here and get a little more light coming in, and that's kind of what me and him's been talking about. Fun fact for the day, and it goes along with the lesson tonight. I've just got one. On this day in 1959, the largest fish ever hooked by rod and reel, all right, rod and reel, a great white shark weighing 2,264 pounds was caught. Now that's a big fish for a rod and reel. I don't care who you are or whatever. 2,264 pounds. Now, you're going to read for us tonight. Would you get a Bible and come up here and read real loud? And
emphasize the loud.
Yeah, she's pretty loud. James chapter 1, verses 13 through 18. But when she finds it, she's going to read it. But you're fishing with your dad early in the ocean. You got to picture that. You're out there fishing. Most dads take their children fishing, you know. My dad always took me, and Uncle Fat did, and took me out at Helpmate. AD still fishes out there with Greg. But that's where I learned to fish, out there at Helpmate, the old iron bridge. And me and my father have spent many a day out there fishing. But imagine that. You're out with your dad in the ocean. The sky is clear. The weather's warm. The sea is calm. Beautiful day for fishing. Your line is in the water, but most of you are just catching is a word or two from your dad and catching some sun rays, and you're feeling a little bit better. Chapter 1, and then 13 through whatever that is in there. 19, 18, 19?
Chapter 1,
James 1. Then, bam, wham, something hits your bait and almost knocks you off your seat. And for several hours you fight what turns out to be the biggest fish that's ever caught on a rod and reel, a huge white shark. Finally you land him, you get him in, you do all the picture taking, you do all that. Probably in 1959 they had an old Polaroid, and that's all they had. And they took a picture like that, and they put him in some kind of fishing book, and he was the greatest fisherman of all time, I guess, as far as a rod and reel type deal. Now you pretend you're the shark. You turn it. You're not the fisherman now, but you're the shark, all right? You're lean, you're mean, you got a lot of teeth, you fight, you ravage the waters, you control that ocean. You're the fish of all fishes, or whatever. You're the man, you're the man fish, all right? Being gigantic, you go wherever you want, you eat whatever you want, whatever you can gather together in your wide jaws, they become your prey, and you eat them, and that's your food. All right, gliding through the water fiercely, through the deep, you spot a delicious morsel just ahead and above. So you grab it in one big swallow, then wham. Again, something bites into your roof of your mouth and pulls back, and you're hooked. You're just hooked. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. You fight like crazy, and you try to get off that hook, pulling the line. Pull the boat in circles, you pull people around, all that. I've heard stories about people catching big fish, and it actually pulls the boat around and until they get tired out, and then they finally get them in the boat. But all one ton of you, but you can't get free. You're just caught. You're hooked. No matter how big you are, you're hooked. What you got for us tonight, Nat? James chapter 1, verses something.
13 through 18.
13 through 18.
When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does does he tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when, by his own evil desire, he is dragged away and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Do not be deceived, my dear brothers. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, and that we might be a kind of fruit, first fruits of all he created.
Thank you, ma'am. Stoney's a good youth worker. He does things for me and talks about things and all that, and he's always got a lot of insight. He's a godsend. So he's going to help me tonight to be able to do this little lesson, I guess. But we're talking about temptation. We're talking about the devil. And we're talking about different aspects of temptation and how sometimes we fall prey to that, or how we can withstand that. Now, what Nat wrote for us tonight, people who live for God often wonder why they still have temptation, right? But as long as we walk, as long as we breathe, as long as we're on this earth, there will be something brought in front of our face or to our side that tempts us. And it comes at the most inopportune times. We could be in church, in God's house. Look at that. That looks good. Oh, I'm sorry. We could be in God's house, and then the devil comes and he tempts us. We could be at work, Mr. Fred. We could be on a pole, and all of a sudden the thought comes in our head, and the devil's there, and there it is again. I don't need it up here on this pole. I don't need the temptation while I'm up here. But the devil is so real and is trying to get me to commit sin and get me that it's there. It's there. Sin is there all the time. Does God tempt us? God tests people. God tests people. But he does not tempt us by trying to seduce us into sin. God does allow Satan. Remember Job? But God does allow Satan to tempt us, guys. However, in order to refine our faith to help us to grow in our dependence on Christ and God. So when we're tempted, we need to pray and ask God, Lord, please give me the strength not to want to fight that temptation that looks so good. My goodness. You know what? Marshmallows are the best thing that God ever let anybody invent. I'm going to tell you that. These things are like so soft. They're soft. And they smell so good. And they're just the right size. I mean, that's a wonderful deal. And I can even I didn't read the calories on the back, but I can even say, I can make an excuse for eating these I'm going to eat these on yams. Sweet potatoes. And those yams got all that butter on it and all these marshmallows on there. And I'm thinking, ooh, that's a good vegetable. Is a potato a vegetable, Miss George? What is a potato? A yam.
Sort of a vegetable.
Sort of a vegetable. Well, I'm going to have my veggies, but I'm going to have a little marshmallows on them too. And I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to bake it just right. I'm going to make it look good, you know. But maybe I don't need the marshmallow. Also, marshmallows are good in moon pies. Ooh, that's the best thing God ever let me ever make. Moon pie. The moon pie, man, that vanilla moon pie, that outside the little crunchy thing it is, and then the marshmallow on the inside is the best thing in the world. I mean, marshmallows are handy too. They're also fun to throw. I thought about throwing one, but I better not, because it would probably go all around the church. Marshmallows, a temptation of mine. And we're talking about food right now, but temptation is whatever we want to fall into. Softball. Ronnie has played so many games of softball, so many games of basketball and things like that. But the thing about playing sports, guys, the first commandment is said, thou shalt not have no other gods before me, right? So even softball that's not a sin can become a sin if I spend all my money on softball. If I decide that I'm not going to come to church on Sunday morning and I'm going to hang out create a softball game every Sunday. And I said, well, I need to really play softball. It's the only time I have off. And then I begin to leave God out. I begin to worship the softball. I begin to leave God out. I have no fellowship with y'all. I don't read the Word. And then sometimes I just get bored and I'm hanging out, and then all of a sudden I've not been in God's Word, and I bite. But then I let go. I let go. I've had a moment. I let go. But then sometimes I keep looking at it, and I keep focusing on it, and I just brush it. I hit it. You ever been brim fishing? Those little brim come around, they just hit it and they go off. And you say, man, I wish I could catch a fish. And you look at it. And sometimes we're able to do that. Michael.
You speak of brim fishing. Seriously, one time I brim fish, right?
Yeah.
I thought I had a fish. About 6 of the things nibbling on my water. 6 of them. Oh! There I'm swimming up. Eventually I get ready because I didn't know that they weren't biting. It felt like they were biting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Then, when I say that hook would barely miss my hand. Barely miss my hand. I thought I lost my ear. Because that hook went right by my ear.
It'll do it. I've seen them stick in ears and I've seen them stick in hands. The thing about it is, like Michael was talking about, gathers in, and you know, sometimes, I'm going to do a little play on words, y'all think this is cool. Sometimes we're at school of fish, and sometimes I'm wanting to bite, and some of my schoolmates are telling me, you don't want that. You don't need that. That's not good for you. And I said, but I want it. I'm hungry. I want that. And so I latch onto it. Oh man, that's not good. And everybody's telling me, no. But I buy it anyway. And man, I'm hooked. And I done messed up. And the devil got me. And the only way that I can get loose from him is to ask Jesus to forgive me of my sin. And you know, then the devil has to flee, and I have to let go because Jesus has forgiven me. And I say, Lord, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I want to confess my sin to you. And we have to confess. And we have to tell Jesus we're sorry. And we have to ask him to take that away. And you know, getting on back into the lesson, kind of done, you know, we may do the little things again in a minute. I don't know. It just depends. But we can resist temptation to sin by turning to God for his strength and choosing to obey his word. We have to choose to obey him. He's not going to make us. It's easy to blame others and make excuses for evil thoughts and wrong actions. Some of the most common and most famous excuses, teens and adults, is one of my most favorite, hey, it's the other person's fault. I wouldn't have done it, but I was with so-and-so. Of course, we know who done that first, right? Adam and Eve, the blame game. Adam went so far that he blamed God. Hey, I would have been all right, but it's that woman you brought here, you know? And I mean, we do the blame game. And I guess that's my most favorite one. I just couldn't help it. You just don't know how stressful it is. I just couldn't help it. I gave it. Number 2. Number 3. Everybody's doing it, man. Come on. I don't want to be the only one that's not. Peer pressure. We give in. And we do things that we ought not do because everybody's doing it. Number 4. Just a mistake. Come on. Just a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Well, we do make mistakes. But then again, I think when we make a mistake, we ought to recognize it and we ought to talk to God about it. Also, I hear along that the same line, well, nobody's perfect. Well, nobody is perfect. But we ought to try to be perfect is what the Word says. And aim for perfection. And then when we see Jesus face to face and he's coming on that cloud and he's coming out of the east and he's going to get his people and take his people home with him. And he says, enter in thy good and faithful servant, you know. I'm just saying we can be ready, and that's when we will be perfected. Number 6, the devil made me do it.
Flip Wilson.
Yeah, Flip Wilson. The devil didn't make you do anything. The devil put it there for your taking, and you took it. Okay? And the way to avoid that, you got to be spiritually bowed up. Stoney goes to the gym, Stoney works out, all that. We have to work out in God's Word. We have to pray. We have to fellowship. We have to sing songs. We have to be with the body of believers, go to Bible studies and things like that to get spiritually fit to be able to fight the devil and to resist him. Number 7, I was pressured into it. I already kind of talked about that along with everybody doing it. Number 8, I didn't know I was doing wrong. Kind of like it was a mistake. And number 9, God has tempted me. We already talked about that God does not tempt. He allows the devil. A person who makes excuses is trying to shift the blame from him or herself to something or someone else. You know, sooner or later, we have to own up, right? We just have to own up with God, what we've done. And sometimes we do it at an altar here at church. Sometimes it's probably in our bedroom. Sometimes it may be on the softball field. Sometimes it may be in a bucket up in the air. Sometimes it might be, who knows, it might be in the kitchen. But we have to own up and we have to talk to God. We have to quit making excuses and own it. And then when we own it, we give it to God and we ask God to help us with it. So as Christians, on the other hand, we need to accept responsibility for our wrongs, confess them, and ask God to forgive us. As Christians, that's our job to do that. We have to accept responsibility. And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? Accept that we messed up. But you know, the more you do it, I would say, the easier it becomes. It's just to say, I did it, I'm sorry, and I apologize. Of course, we don't want to get so easy with it that it means nothing. But if we do tell God we're sorry, and then He can mold us, He can shape us, He can help us to become who He wants us to be, and not make quite so many mistakes, and take that bait that the devil offers. The Bible often compares goodness with light, evil with darkness. That's in verse 17. The devil has a way of making that sin look so good, doesn't he? So perfect. So I gotta have it now. And the Bible says that we don't have to have everything now. A season in time. We got to be very careful, girls, guys, with our bodies. We have to. You know, the old timers used to say, like, sin wasn't any fun. But sin can be fun. But sin also kills. Sin will kill the spiritual body. Sin will kill the earthly body if we give into it premature and give into things we shouldn't give into. And we have to be very careful about that. I've never seen, like, I read these little things and all that, and I pick up things and I look. I've never seen so many people using drugs. I've never seen such an epidemic of it. Kind of close in our area, too. And it's just so widespread, and everybody does it. It's socially accepted, things like that. We have to say no to that. We have to say no to drugs. And I know that's an old lesson that's been taught since we were in school, but we have to. But we've got to be prayed up in order to do that. Alcohol. I've told y'all a few times about my past. I don't talk about myself a whole lot. I try to talk about God and His Word, and I try to point toward Him. But I've shared with y'all, and some of y'all know my history, that I used to drink. I'm not proud of that, but I used to drink. I haven't had a drink in probably over 25 years. I've never really figured it up. I'm so thankful that I don't with my granddaughters, and they never seen anything like that. They don't know that James was ugly. I didn't even like James then. But I'm just saying, yesterday I went to work on a man's lawnmower. He's getting to where his vision's bad and he can't see. Well, some people had come over to his home, and they had had a few beers. And those beers was in an ice chest right there by that lawnmower. Imagine that. Can you imagine that those beers were located right there? Bud Light Long Neck. And I hadn't had a beer in over 25 years. And I'm not saying it's a sin to drink a beer, but for me it would be. You know, the devil tempted me with that. Been 25 years, he said, go ahead. Ain't nobody gonna know it. Ain't nobody gonna care. It's just one. said, you ain't getting me on that one. And I was victorious on that. I don't want any of that. But you know, the thought went through my head to drink one because the devil was tempting me. Wasn't a marshmallow, it was a beer. I ain't thought about drinking a beer. I don't want a beer. I don't want to smell a beer. Me and Madison was last night at the ball game. Somebody lit up a cigarette. Me and her about died. The smoke was so strong. And I mean, that was outside. And we about fell over, you know, because it was just so strong. Like they were right there on us. We said, where's that at? But I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want that in my life anymore. And thank God he took that desire away. But it's through prayer. Some of the people, the saints in the church praying for me. Don't even have to be a saint. Could be Teresa praying for me. Could be, and I'm not saying you're not a saint, I'm just saying those that's passed on, those that's gone. You are a saint. You do so much with kids and things like that, it's amazing. But I'm just saying, it's through the body of believers. It's through reading God's word. It's through prayer. It's through fellowship. It's through people praying for me, old and new. It's through just talking to God, that you don't want to do those things anymore, that you don't bite that, you know, and you don't give into that. When we don't read and when we don't pray, we get real dumb, don't we? Maybe you've never not done that, but when you don't pray and when you don't spend time with God and you don't fellowship with Him, you get numb, and you get to where you might take that bait that the devil, because you're not prayed up, you're not spending time with God's word, you're not singing Christian songs, you listen to the wrong kind of music. I mean, God knew what He was doing when He didn't make me a fish. I would have probably been the dumbest fish in the world. I'd have probably been caught by the time I was hatched out. Boy, that looks good. I'm going to eat that. And sometimes we do that spiritually. Boy, that looks so good. I got to have a bite of that. I got to have that. I got to have that right now. And we just bite it and we run with it, and the devil's got us. He's caught us. Thank God I wasn't a fish. I'd have been caught the first day out. But sometimes I'm so dumb. But we don't have to wrestle with the devil as much if we're prayed up. Satan fishes for you and me all the time. Every day he fishes for us, and he wants to catch us, and he wants us to devour us. He knows what bait to use to entice you. Temptation is something that's the oddest thing to me. You know, we have the 10 Commandments, and one of them is thou shalt not steal, right? That's one of them. I can't imagine having that problem. But other people have that problem. I was on a committee one time with a lady, and it didn't matter what you had. If you had that ink pen right there, and you put the cap on it, and you laid it down, and you walked off somewhere else, that ink pen may not be there when you got back. She had a problem. Sweetest lady in the world. Loved her to death. Maybe somebody gave you a t-shirt, and you put it over there, and you got busy doing something. You might come back, and that t-shirt might be gone. I ain't seen it. Had a problem. It could be stealing. It could be smoking. It could be making fun of someone. At the time, all those things seemed to be okay. Making fun of someone, everybody's making fun of someone. Like I say, everybody's doing it, so why can't I do it? All those things like that. And the devil tricks us into biting those things. Gossiping about someone. And I told y'all this, I think, the last time I preached, but pride. Pride must be one more sin. If the devil got kicked out of heaven for it. It's got to be a terrible sin. Pride. And sometimes we're very prideful of what we have, and the devil catches us with that. So there's just so many things. And I just want to tell you tonight, so when you spot something that looks good, but you think it may be bad, and you're not sure, all right, Michael, sea hen, don't take the bait. Leave it alone and swim away as fast as you can. Sometimes we actually literally have to run away. You remember when Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers? I don't remember what king it was, but the king's wife come out and she tried to seduce him. Potiphar? All right, Potiphar's wife. The king's wife came and tried to seduce Joseph. And he finally, backing up, he broke and ran off. Sometimes, we actually just have to turn and run away from things that are so in our face. And we just have to get out of there sometimes that fast like that. But if you've got to think about it so hard, and I wonder, should I need to do that? I wonder, should I take that? I would just say, leave it alone. Don't bite. That's a trick. If you've got to think about it that much, just leave it alone. You're safer to leave it alone. Don't bite. Okay? So, Mike, what you got?
You touched on pride, and on the video that I was watching on military veterans, and their reactions to the world now from the Vietnam War, and one of them said that pride is man's worst enemy.
Pride is what now?
Pride is man's worst enemy.
Pride is man's worst enemy. I can believe that. I can believe that. We can be very prideful. And when we're prideful, I don't know, we begin to look at ourselves and we don't give praise and glory to God, and give him the praise he needs for what he's done in our life and how he's changed our life and what he's done for us. So I can see how pride can be a man's worst enemy. Don, you want to come share with us? You always say something. You want to come up and talk a minute? No, I figured you'd bite.
No pun intended. I guess a lot of my stuff is really aimed towards the teenagers, but when there's going to be things, there's going to be trials, there's going to be storms that's going to come in your life that you're totally not going to understand. Some things come just out of nowhere and just slams you in the back of the head. You're like, where did that come from? And it's just things that I have dealt with myself. Like, it seems to be problem after problem after problem after problem. There's always, it's just, I was like, I almost felt like I was being punished for something. But really, in reality, it really wasn't, I wasn't being punished, but that in my mind, that's what I was thinking. But really all it was, and what I was thinking that maybe I'm not in the will of God here. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm doing things wrong here. And I was really being hard on myself, and the devil was using that situation and the circumstances that was happening in my life. And really, all it really was just life happening. That's really all it was. And I was just making it really hard on myself in the process. But the devil was twisting things around and making me think that, hey, I was you ain't good enough. God don't love you. Why are you still doing this? Look at all this problem in your life. But then I got to looking back at, Jesus didn't do anything wrong either. But he was lost. He was in the will of God. Except for things problems came to him. Job, as we touched on earlier, God said he was right upright. He was a righteous man, godly man. But look at all the problems he had. My problems are very minuscule compared to what he went through. So I want you to remember that just because things are going on in your life, and there's turmoil in your life, and it's like you're in a tornado, it doesn't mean that you're out of the will of God. You're just fine. But the devil will use these circumstances. He'll use that situation to try to trip you up. Try to turn you on God. Try to turn you against him. So just because things are happening to you. I'm now at 37. I got to the point where the problems that come into my life, it gives me an opportunity to let my light shine. To let people say, man, how are you still smiling through this? What's happening? How are you doing this? And plus it gives God, he gives his chance. He's in the chance to work in your life as well. And it gives you a chance to glorify him. I'll let people know, look, this isn't Stony that's getting through this. This is God getting Stony through it. Or this is God getting Jada through it. Madison. This is God for Madison. And my walk, through my journey, you know, it's been really, I'm really hard on myself. I hold myself to very high standards in everything I do, no matter what I do, whether it be playing ball, whether it be at my job, whether it be in my walk, my walk with God. But other than that, I have a few little scriptures that came up to my mind earlier. I typed on the thing here. It says wait for Psalms 27:14. It says, wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. One of the hardest things, really, to me, is to have God's